Remakes are everywhere right now. It seems wherever you turn, game companies are churning out highly polished versions of games we had 10, 20 or 30 years ago. And it got me thinking, what games would I really like to see remade for modern consoles that I loved back in the day? So I put together a list of 5 of my most desired remakes from my retro nostalgia. Number 1 will probably not come as a massive surprise to long-time viewers of the channel, but we'll save that for later on. And if you stick around until right at the end, I've got a little announcement for you too. So welcome back to this week's video, and as I said, we're going to have 5 games that I would like to see remade for modern consoles. Before we get into my list, I did want to just share what I mean when I say remake. So I'm not talking about highly polished HD ports of games. We've seen a lot of those in the past. I'm talking about proper ground-up remakes. Now, it doesn't have to be Final Fantasy VII level, where they've taken a beloved game and completely reimagined it. I am excited to play that. I haven't started it yet. Don't judge me. And I'm thinking in that vein, but also potentially something like Metal Gear Solid Delta, which also I think would absolutely qualify as a remake. It's true to the original, but it gives you all of the quality of life that modern gaming hardware can give you with polished visuals. It's true to its story, and it plays much like that original game. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. I'm not interested in just up-resed ports. I want proper remakes that take advantage of modern hardware but stay true to what made that game special in the first place, whether that is the art style, the way the story's told, or the gameplay. So with all that being said, we're going to start at number 5 and work our way up. So let's start with my 5th choice. So in at number 5 for me is Mario 64. Super Mario 64 launched on the Nintendo 64 in 1996 and changed video games forever. It was the first major 3D platformer, setting the template for the genre that followed. The DS received a port called Super Mario 64 DS in 2004 with extra content and characters. But the camera, a notorious pain point even at launch, remains the one thing that makes going back genuinely frustrating. A proper remake with modern controls and a fixed camera could let an entirely new generation experience one of gaming's most important moments. Now, the reason for this one is simple for me. This is my first memory of 3D gaming. I still have these incredibly strong memories of seeing this game for the first time. And it's a slightly strange circumstance. I had a friend at school who had an N64 before any of us in the little gang. And he, at home, having bought this brand new, and it was the first game that he bought with the console, had filmed it. He'd filmed himself playing it on well, not filmed himself playing it, sorry, he'd recorded it to VHS. That's how old I am. And he brought it in, and his dad was our IT teacher, and he played it on the television in our IT room. And I remember watching this video footage of him swinging Bowser around in that first Bowser battle, and I was like, oh my God, this is like nothing I've ever seen before. I must have one. We got our N64 that Christmas, and I played this thing to death, alongside GoldenEye and Mario Kart, which very, 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 very firmly planted in here. So I really like to see Mario 64 remade. I know Nintendo are already doing that at the moment. There, of course, is the rumours around the Ocarina of Time remake. We've already got confirmation that we're getting Star Fox or Lilac Wars, as I know it, from the N64 remade. So maybe they'll dip their toe back in and give us a highly polished version of Mario 64. I don't want any big changes here. Keep it true. Give me current day Mario quality visuals, keep all the gameplay, keep the level structure as is, and fix the camera. That's the main one for me. So number 5, Mario 64. So what about number 4? So my number 4 is Final Fantasy VIII. Final Fantasy VIII launched in 1999 on PlayStation and followed one of the most beloved JRPGs ever made. Despite being commercially successful, it has always lived in the shadow of its predecessor. The game received a remaster in 2019, cleaning up visuals and adding quality of life features, but fans have long called for the full remake treatment, the kind of love Final Fantasy VII received, a faithful rebuild with modern 3D environments, widescreen presentation, and the original turn-based combat intact would finally give this game its moment. So for me, Final Fantasy VIII is a funny one. I know that for a lot of people this is not considered to be the best Final Fantasy. There are big 7 lovers, there are a lot of 9 lovers, 10 and some beyond. But for me, this was my proper gateway to Final Fantasy. I played Final Fantasy VII, or at least watched it with a friend, had fond memories of that and played it through, but he'd already completed it and I kind of went on the journey with him. But Final Fantasy VIII, I got to play on my own. I had a copied version of this, I remember vividly. This back cover being a black and white photocopy back in the day with my chipped PlayStation. But I loved it. In fact, I think I got so far through disc 1, and then because it was copied, I had some sort of an issue with it, and I ended up having to go out and buy it anyway, and I bought the platinum version at the time. But for me, Final Fantasy VIII had a fantastic story, some interesting characters. I loved the summons, and I just think that now that we've had such a fantastic remake of Final Fantasy VII, and I think this is unlikely, but I would love to see them give the same treatment to Final Fantasy VIII. Often unsung in terms of the consoles. We've had HD remasters, as I mentioned, but yeah, a proper remake from the ground up would really do for me. And again, this one takes me back to the PS1. Like I said, having that chipped PlayStation, I'm sure I had some sort of a spring or something in the console lid that you had to put in, and a pack in the back which helped convert the chipped game, make it play. But anyway, random memories, but for me, this remains one of my favourite Final Fantasies. I won't say it's my favourite, I'll be honest, Final Fantasy X is probably up there, and maybe there's an argument that that's probably more likely to get a remake. But for me, Final Fantasy VIII was a great, great game, and I'd love to see that one remade. So, let's get on to number 3. So, for number 3, I'm taking some liberties. I'm going to put 2 games, but they're part of a trilogy. And those games are Gears of War 2 and Gears of War 3, part of the original Gears of War trilogy. Gears of War 2 launched exclusively on Xbox 360 in November 2008, developed by Epic Games. It was one of the best reviewed games of its generation, introducing Horde mode, a feature that has since become a staple of the genre. Gears of War 3 arrived in September 2011, closing out the original trilogy with critical acclaim. Yet, while Gears of War 1 has received 2 major overhauls, the Ultimate Edition in 2015 and Gears of War Reloaded in August 2025, neither sequel has received the same treatment. Gears of War E-Day, the upcoming prequel, continues to build around the first game. The middle of the trilogy remains untouched and increasingly hard to access on modern hardware. So as I said there in the voiceover, the reason that I've put these in the list is that we've already had 2 remasters, or up-reses if you like, of Gears of War 1 and Gears of War 2. No, sorry, Gears of War 1 on both the Xbox One with Gears of War Ultimate and Gears of War Reloaded most recently on Xbox and PS5. And both are great ways to relive the first game. The problem is, it's 1/3 or less of a trilogy. And with these 2 games, arguably better games in their own right, and completing the story, there's really no way now for modern players to go back and enjoy these. You have to go back to the Xbox 360 games. You can play them on Xbox via Game Pass, of course, and that's great. But when you've played the 4K PS5 and Xbox Series X release, stepping back to these it's a bit hard, and it's getting harder. They're still great games and they still genuinely stand up, but I don't understand why they've not been given the same love. We're getting E-Day this year, which I'm looking forward to. Come on, let's have these remade. Let's get these polished up to 4K levels so that original trilogy can stand there on its own, and new players can enjoy it, and old players like me can go back and relive it. Because these are some of my favourite games, and although I think generally Gears 2 is more popular with communities, I'm a big lover of Gears 3, specifically the Horde mode, which I thought was a big step up from Gears 2. Put a lot of time into that. And I read all the books in between. I don't really read a lot. I'm not a big book reader. But I got really into this series, really into the world, and I read all the interconnecting books. So by the time Gears 3 actually came out, I was well and truly in. So my number 3 is a cheeky one. It's a twofer, Gears of War 2 and Gears of War 3. So what about number 2? Now, if you're a long-time viewer of the channel, I imagine these first 3 games have probably not surprised you too much. I talk about these franchises a lot. And as I said, number one will probably be quite obvious to most of you. I think this one, again, I've taken some liberties and I'll tell you why in a second, but I think this one might surprise a few of you. I don't talk about this as much on the channel, but I have in the past. So my number two for a modern remake is Earthworm Jim 1 and Earthworm Jim 2. Now I've got them here on the Super Nintendo, but you can have them anywhere you like. These would be my number two. Earthworm Jim launched in 1994 on the Mega Drive, developed by Shiny Entertainment. It was acclaimed for its fluid, hand-drawn animation, remarkable for a 16-bit release. A sequel followed in 1995, and an animated TV series ran for 2 seasons. In 2010, Gameloft released Earthworm Jim HD on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, digital only, with new levels and 4-player co-op. In 2018, Gameloft's license with Interplay expired, and the game was quietly delisted from every digital storefront. Today, there is no legitimate modern way to play either game on current hardware. And as I said there in the voiceover, there's really no legitimate way to play these on modern consoles. I missed out on those HD releases. I actually found out about them, funnily enough, doing my research for this video. I love these games, and they still play on the Super Nintendo. I can still enjoy them there. But these feel like the sort of things that would be absolutely perfect on a handheld like the Switch 2. I mean, you could play them on a console as well, of course, but if these art styles or these hand-drawn animations were just polished up to modern standards, given that HD treatment, give us the frame rates, make it smooth, don't make any of the changes. These don't need to be ground-up remakes. And I know I said at the start that my criteria for a remake was varied, but I want here the gameplay. The gameplay is great. Give it that polish. Give me the visuals. Don't change them. Don't try and reimagine them. Don't make him 3D or anything like that. I want the hand-drawn animations, but I want them in 4K, and I want smooth gameplay. I want 16:9 ratio. Just give me that. And these games would be incredible. I love this series. I would say what would also make it great, and if you really had to change the visuals, lean into the cartoon. I bloody love that cartoon. Lean into that. Give me the vocals, give me the voice, give me the character animations from that if you have to. But either way, I'd be very happy if these two games were compiled into one neat collection and made available on a modern console. And hell, if you really want to, give me some lost levels, make some new stuff, give me some new content as well. But Earthworm Jim 1 and 2 is my number two. Which only leaves us one place to go. Have you guessed it yet? Let me know in the comments if you know what number one is. Let's talk about my number one. So have you guessed it? My number one, of course, has got to be Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid launched on PlayStation in 1998, directed by Hideo Kojima. It is widely credited with establishing the stealth action genre and setting a new standard for cinematic storytelling in games. A GameCube remake, The Twin Snakes, arrived in 2004, but divided fans with its tonal changes. In 2025, Konami released Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, a faithful visual rebuild of MGS3. Rumours suggest a remake of the original Metal Gear Solid has been in early development at Konami, potentially as their next major focus after Delta. So as I said there in the voiceover, what I don't want to hear down in the comments is, Metal Gear Solid's had a remake. What about the Twin Snakes? I've got that too. It's not the same thing. They changed too much. And honestly, playing with the GameCube controller, as much as I love that controller for some of its applications, it does not work well for a game like this. And honestly, we need dual analog sticks. We need modern camera comforts. We need some work to be done on this. So Metal Gear Solid is one of my favourite franchises. You can tell that from the wall behind me. And any video you've seen of mine, you'll know that I've got a lot of Metal Gear Solid stuff in here. But this is where it all began for me. I remember having to get the code off the back of the box to talk to Merrill. And it was funny because I mentioned earlier about my chipped PlayStation. I didn't have the box. So when my friend gave me a copied version of this, he actually told me there was this code written inside a bit of a photocopied sleeve. And he said, you know, you're going to need this, because I hadn't got a box. And yeah, I love this game. I played this thing to death. But the problem with it is now it just doesn't stand up. If you play the HD remasters or the collections, I've got various different versions of these Metal Gear Solid collections from over the years, it just doesn't hold up, because the camera doesn't work so well, it's a little bit clunky. Some of the issues with Twin Snakes were that by adding the first person view that we had in Metal Gear 2, it just made it too easy. It was far too easy to take down your opponents. So what I would really like to see, and this one's maybe where we need to be a little bit more flexible with the artistic license, maybe this needs a Final Fantasy VII treatment, because the game and the story specifically is spot on, but it probably needs a little bit of thinking about how we take this game now and bring it into a modern era. There are rumours that's where Konami are going next, so I am hopeful that this might come in the future. I would love a Metal Gear Solid remake. But if you're listening, Konami, I'll take Metal Gear Solid 2 as well. Either one of those. I like that you took Snake Eater and made that modern remake, but it was never one of my favourites. I was always much more attached to 1 and 2. So there you go. Those are my list. Metal Gear Solid in number 1. Number 2, Earthworm Jim 1 and 2. Number 3 was Gears of War 2 and 3. Number 4 was Final Fantasy 8, and then number 5 was Mario 64. So there you have it. That's my top 5 games to be remade if I had my way. Of course, a lot of this was inspired by the Star Fox announcements, which I touched on earlier and I mentioned in last week's video. I'll be honest, I know there's a lot of hate towards that, the visual art style and, oh, another remake of this story. I skipped Star Fox Assault and Star Fox Zero, so I'm all in and all ready for a remake of a game that I personally treasure, Lilac Wars. I've mentioned many times on this channel, and only a few weeks ago I picked up the big box version. So I have got my physical pre-order on lock with Nintendo. I look forward to having another excuse to play through Star Fox's story. And actually my son is super excited, having seen the Mario Galaxy movie. So this is going to be our gateway, and there's some nice co-op quality of life features they've put in to help parents like us. So if you haven't seen it, there's like a way that you can play with one Joy-Con to control the ship, and the other one gets to kind of manipulate the weapons and shoot around the screen. So my son was already deciding in which order we would get to play that together. So I think I'm flying first, if you're wondering. So yeah, I hope you found that interesting. I had fun putting that list together. I would love to know what games you'd love to see get remade. Take me back through the ages. What means something to you? What would benefit from that modern polish? I appreciate my choices weren't kind of really out there and left field. They're quite mainline, but you know, if you watch long enough, you know that that's how I game, and that's my collection. I also did tease a little something extra, and I do want to talk about that just now. Sorry, excuse me, I was just getting some notes up. But first of all, let me just play you a very quick 10-15 second loop.
Select. Start. Save. Repeat.
So that is Select, Start, Save, Repeat. That is a new show that I am starting really exclusively for Patreon followers. I said when I started this channel a long time ago that one of the drivers for me was to build a community of like-minded people, and I still stand by that. And I have a handful of viewers that watch every week and comment every week, and that means a lot to me. Like, I really look forward to hearing from those individuals, hearing their views on the content that I've made, and getting to share memories and stories. And for a while I've wanted to try and work out how to expand that. I'm not a particularly competent Discord user, so Discord groups, although I could do it, not really something that appeals to me. And I have been trying to think for a while, how can I create something that is exclusive for the people that really enjoy the stuff that I make and want to talk about and geek out with me and others about gaming. So I've had a Patreon for a while. I've never really promoted it. And I'm doing so now, not to ask you for money necessarily. Of course, there is a paid tier, it's Patreon, but to promote this new show and to promote that involvement, really. So what I've done, if you have a look over on Patreon, I'll put the link down below, is I have set up 2 tiers. The first one is completely free. So it is, that to me is where that community comes together. That is to enable rather than gate the access for people that are like me, and like some of you who comment every week that want to just talk about this hobby and share in it. So Select, Start, Save, Repeat will be a frequent show. I haven't quite decided if it will be weekly or fortnightly or monthly. We'll see how engagement goes and kind of how time goes. But the design of it is to be a fairly low effort in terms of production value, but interesting and community driven concept. So it's Think Book Club, but for video games. So if you get involved at the free tier, that's where the show will be. It will always be there. It will always be free. It won't be very rare, or very rarely at least, publicised here over on my YouTube channel. It will be hosted here, but it won't be publicised because these will be unlisted videos for that community. And that allows me to create content that is, like I said, a little bit lower production value, a little bit more me talking to camera, sharing views, and hopefully also engaging with you guys as part of that content, without affecting the algorithm over here and the content that I drop publicly each week for YouTube. So it'll be all hosted on the same channel, but you'll get the links and it will be published over on Patreon. And then I do have a paid tier if you're so inclined. I'm not here to sort of beg you to do that. I don't believe in that. But if you want to, then I do have an option there to support me financially. It's $5 per month, and every penny that I receive from that, I will be reinvesting into this collection. So it will be to buy games for the collection. And when I buy a game, I will absolutely call out the Patreon community that has funded it and let you know where your money's gone. But as well as contributing to the collection, then of course you have to have something back, of course. So in terms of select, start, save, repeat, you will have two things. The first is paid members get to vote and decide which games we play next. So if you really get into it and you're enjoying the process and you want to suggest some games, you can suggest them through the free tier, but we will vote on and select them through the paid community. And the other thing is, if you want to appear, should you be inclined to do so, in the video about that particular cycle's game, then when I record my thoughts and do my to camera piece, I would love to make that a bit of a chat show, and I would love to invite 2, 3, 4 people and make that more of a kind of a round table discussion, because that's what it feels like this should be to me. It's about me playing a game with you, sharing our experiences through the community on Patreon, and then me creating some content for you to watch where I share my specific views, but also call out some of the comments that you guys have made as well as part of that discussion. So that's the pitch. If you want to go and have a look at it, please do. As I said, no pressure. I know that Patreon's not for everyone, and I certainly don't expect anyone to kind of flood over there and start throwing money down. If you do decide to subscribe, like I said, I will make sure that every penny goes back into something in this room to show you on future episodes on the mainline channel. And of course, you'll get that interactivity alongside the new show. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how it lands. I'm excited about it. Hopefully you guys are too. It might take me a few episodes to find my feet and kind of get into it and think about how we, what kind of format we do, how long we want to play for before we talk about these games, and all that stuff will kind of get decided on organically, I suppose. But yeah, and I guess the last thing to say just before I round the video out, while we're on the subject of Patreon, is having announced this new show on my Patreon and on my YouTube community, I have had my first paid subscriber, and I'm hugely grateful to you, Jamie, who comments every week and supports me on this journey. He's left many a supportive comment over the last couple of years, and I'm super grateful. And when I published this, he was straight in on the same day and subscribed. So he will be my one and only name for the honour roll today, and perhaps for the foreseeable future. But I am hugely grateful. So thank you, Jamie, for your support, your kind words again about the launch of the idea, and also your suggestion for what might be game number 2, which means I also neglected to mention what game number 1 was, which has inspired this video and was inspired by the announcements from Nintendo. So of course we're playing Star Wing or Star Fox, depending on where you were in the world, on the Super Nintendo. So if you're into that and you want to go and have a look on Patreon, get involved, and then watch that first episode when it drops in about a week's time, then feel free to check it out. But that's it for the video. Thanks so much for your time and attention. Get involved in the comments. Let me know games you'd love to see remade. Subscribe if you haven't already. Check out the Patreon if you're so inclined. And I will see you all next week for a new video. Thanks very much.